Hi, I'm Rachel McLeod. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and emotional wellness coach. And today I want to jump on here and talk about three things that are preventing you from really and finally eliminating your symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. And this is really, I want to talk about this because nobody says, hey, guess what? I want to live the rest of my life like this. But so many people do, right? And that's really how we've always kind of thought things were. It's one of the things that really prevent us from healing and from finally getting the results is just it's not a thought in our culture yet. It's not permeating. It's not right there. That's not what we're going to talk about today. That's not the three things. So we might be at four things. Hi, Aisha. Wonderful seeing you here. I've got hair loose and I have to jump off screen for a second. Okay, I had an itch. Y'all didn't need to see that. Okay. Hi, Keeks. Uh, Keeks. How awesome. I love the backstory there, but don't feel free like you have to announce that here. But it's got me curious, right? Um, so many rich things come into names, even names that we haven't that we chose ourselves or that people have given us or that we identify with. Anyway, I love that stuff, seeing that there. Um, Hi, Kevin. Awesome. Goodness, so long no see. We got to rectify that. But, anyways, let's stay on track. Where was I? Okay, we're talking about the three things that stop you because you know that this is not what you want for your life. You know that this is one of the things where the path is narrow, and right now, unfortunately, not the path to healing is so broad that it's really hard to find yours in it. And but I really want to show you these three things so that it really unblocks you and doesn't stop you any longer from getting your results, from finally healing this and moving on with your life. And let's see, um the other things, and really why one of the things that really happens when we're not, when we're suffering and we're blocked from healing, we're stopped from eliminating symptoms, is just that we can have this really big feeling that we're wasting time, right? Because anxiety, depression, or traumatic stress can really push you into the back seat of your life, and like you're on this ride and this roller coaster and this beast thing is driving and you can't get back to the front seat and they push you back and you're here and you feel like you're a passive player in your life. And maybe what's even worse is that nobody else knows this is even going on because it's all internal. And so you're out here, you probably look like you're rocking and you're doing things and you're taking names and kicking butt, but on the inside it just feels like chaos and stress and angst and turmoil and inner conflict. And because of that, brains, when that's going on, brains are like, I need in there. I need to fix this. Like, I need to they become very fixated on this. And so even though you're trying to be like, okay, can we do that later? Can I show up at this meeting? Like, hey, I have like an hour to spend with my kids right now. Can we chill? Can we do this later? And your brain is like, I need to do this now. I need to do this now. It's very compulsive, very fixated. And it really can make you feel like you don't get a choice over your life, and you don't, right? Because your brain is in survival mode, in between survival mode and trying to fix a problem mode. Those are two powerful players up against each other, preventing each other, and takes a lot of energy and emotion and stuff to be in there, like stuff, chemicals and angst and stuff to be in there, and that really sucks us in, and we can feel like we're losing time, we're losing connection, we're losing the joy. It's like, this is so good, life right now could be so wonderful, but I'm in here stuck trying to unravel all of the things, right? And the other thing is that people, when we're stopped from eliminating symptoms, then we feel like we're just having so much regret, like the regret is just piling on because you just spent, you just mixed six more opportunities at work, six more opportunities with clients, six more opportunities to put your music out there, or six more opportunities to put your art, to step into your purpose, to take a training. You talked yourself out of it, right? All because of this, all because of anxiety, all because of depression and traumatic stress. And it's blocking you. And that really helps you start feeling like, hey, life is passing you by. And then you've got doom. And then you've got this feeling that you've got to hurry up, right? And panic and desperation. Like I've been having phone calls with lots and lots and lots of you, and it's really, there's so much there. This is such a trap that we can get caught up into. And then not just that, but then we have like all the things you're missing out on, all the travel because you're afraid to leave, right? We're COVIDing right now. So there's not a lot of travel. And so you can kind of hide and think, okay, well, maybe things are okay. But really, it's going to open up again and you're going to be dealing with that can't travel thing again. Or maybe you're missing out on seeing your best friend because your anxiety has got you emotionally eating and you've put on 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds since this COVID thing started, and you're ashamed for anybody to see you, right? You're missing out on connection, on romance. Some of you are blocked. I'm hearing this. I'm hearing that you're that the anxiety is blocking you from making a connection. You're overthinking things. What does this text mean? Is this the right person? What if they did that? Is that a flag? Is that not a flag? Is that a red flag? Should I be concerned? I don't know. Everything just seems so, I don't know. It seems like I don't know if they're a flaky person or if they're not. And you can't trust yourself and settle in because the anxiety is shuffling, shuffling, shuffling around in your mind, making you consider everything from every angle all at once, and you're missing out on changing the emotional legacy that you're handing off to your kiddos just because you can't eliminate these symptoms finally. And that's really frustrating. It's hurtful. This is not what you came into parenting for. You have dreams here for these kiddos, you know? And I'm hearing these conversations. I'm hearing this from you. I've been there, done that, right? I know this is how it turns out. This is why I'm so passionate about eliminate these symptoms. And that's one of the things I keep hearing is that people tell me the laundry list of things they're doing just to make it through the day, right? They're meditating. They're doing some positive self-talk. They're doing some yoga. They're taking a walk. They're doing this stuff like that. And then they're emotional eating, or, some of them aren't, right? They're doing all the healthy things. And so they're exercising more and they're this, and we're looking at this stuff and they're having to spend about 6 hours a day just to cope and stay afloat and not to get pulled under into the racing thoughts, the self hatred, the self loathing, those patterns of self doubt, confusion, the circles that start, right? And that sucks. It's good that you're doing all this stuff, but man, wouldn't it be nice because you're doing this stuff because it's like enhancing your life, not because you're going to drown if you don't? That's not exciting and that's not fun. Right. And so, in just seeing this stuff and seeing that people that are getting the results, you know, I've just been thinking about this, and I've been thinking about you all, and I've been thinking like, what's got you stopped in your tracks? And so I've got these three things I want to talk about because I'm also talking with women that are like making the decision, right? And they're doing the work and they're getting phenomenal results, right? And I'm like, what's stopping anybody and everybody else, right? And this is what I really want to talk with you about. And the first thing I want to talk about is the fear, right? The fear that what if it doesn't work for me? What if I put all this energy in again and it doesn't work? What if it's too much? What if I have to go and it's too hard, right? And this is a typical anxiety symptom, the what ifs. Like, I remember very clearly I'd done an intake and an assessment with this therapist for myself, and I remember sitting there, and I wasn't the questions weren't hitting me, and then he asked me this question about the what ifs, and I was like, "Psh, oh my gosh, like and I just like went off on all the what ifs that had been piling in my brain, and then afterwards he was like, oh, yeah, that's OCD. And I was like, oh, anyway, that don't diagnose yourself from this. There was more in that assessment. He did a really good job. I had OCD, like, but I remember the what ifs, right? And know that what ifs can really generate a lot of fear, right? And sometimes you can't make that stop before you grab the hand that's out there for you that will help pull you up out of suffering, right? Sometimes the only thing you can do is just decide, right? Like, you're out there, you're swimming, you're paddling, and sometimes you just have to make that decision to do it, not wait for the fear to turn off. It's not going to. That's a function of where your brain is at right now. it is specializing in generating more and more and more fear, right? And you know that if you've got some of the symptoms like perfectionism, that's fear. Procrastination, avoidance, fear. Those are just responses to fear. People say, oh my gosh, I'm so mad, I'm just procrastinating, I'm such a perfectionist. No, you're not. You're terrified, you're afraid, right? And that's what we do with this, and that fear prevents us from really eliminating symptoms. And let me tell you something, that you know it's so bad where you're at right now. It's almost at a point where it's like, so what? And that's a hard one, but so what's helped me so many times. So I'm going to throw it out here for you right now. um, so what if you try and you don't make it? What you can guarantee yourself, if you don't try, you're not going to make it. And what you also know is that these things, you can take these things to for the rest of your life, decades. Brains can get stuck outside of the healing pathways, outside the healing process, for lifetimes. Okay, that's what you're looking at. Let's keep this real. Let's keep this in context. Is it more valuable to you to, in fear and trembling, decide to try it again, try a different route, try something? Or are you going to go with the guarantee of staying in the same place? Guaranteed. You can stay right there, or worse. Those are your anxiety guarantees. Like, sometimes there's breaks in the cloud, but gosh, that thing just comes right back if you don't resolve this thing. And so, another trick here is that you can what if up, because you can what if down hardcore, but what if it works? What if it does work for you this time? What if it does? What if it's not as much work as you think it is, right? And if you pull your brain through that, like, you can write a list, what if it works, and make your brain answer those, right? That doesn't work for everybody because that can really trigger things. So if you're repulsed by that idea, please listen to your brain. Don't do it. But when you see where you're at, when you see the truth of how much you're suffering, gosh, get to the fastest point between where you're at and the help you need. Fastest point. Try not to use your brain too much. It's not working well, right? It's not working well. If your brain is working well, I would say think. It's not going to work well. You think, and that's your thinker isn't working well. And that's hard when you have this. That's what's unique about this, is that most problems you can think your way out. This one you can't. You're gonna have to help your brain. And if you don't know how to do that, you grab the hand that is reaching out to you, that you're pretty confident is going to help you, or that is divinely provided, or that you have this, your heart says, just do it, whatever, right? Because when you're crying out and you're calling out for help, I believe that God, the universe, all Allah, like, listens and responds, and they send a boat by. But if you're like, no, that one, I don't like these three things, and the boat comes by, no, that one's too expensive, and it comes by, no, that one's too much time. What are we doing here? We're suffering. Try one of those things. If you get on the boat, you can jump back in the water at any time, you know? And you might need to, who knows? But gosh, stay the same or take a risk. That's what so much advancements is about. When you start your business, you are richly rewarded because of the risk that you take. When you're doing healing, it's about the risk that you take. If I had not taken the risk I took, I would not have gotten off the beaten path. I would not have found these interventions that work specifically with the survival state, the part of the survival center, the part of the brain that interrupts all the healing work. I wouldn't have. As a matter of fact, by that time, I was like, when she told me about this intervention, I was like, it is so far not talk therapy, sold. I'm trying it. Because I was so done with that, and I wanted something completely different, and I was open to trying something new. Right. So that's those. So fear is the one thing that's gonna stop you. You got to plan around that. Right. And it might not be getting rid of it. It might be planning around it. Do it. The second thing I see that is stopping people from eliminating symptoms is just low self-worth, right? Another function of anxiety. And so here's anxiety blocking you from overcoming anxiety. right? And but what I see happening is with this low self-worth, what happens is that one, you're not prioritizing your healing. You're not prioritizing yourself because you don't think you're worthy. You don't think you're deserving. Everyone else is more important. This is the worst thing for your mental health. This is the worst thing for your emotional wellness. If you are going to do the work that it takes to do this, and I'm going to tell you, I know exactly the work it takes to do this. I mean, there's like so many different ways, but I know that it's going to be some brain work, whatever you choose, you got to do it. You got to do the work. But if you don't think that you're worth prioritizing the roof, the new roofing that you need to put in 3 years is becomes more important. Your son's soccer game becomes more important than your mental health appointment. Your you know your view of being able to make sure nobody, everyone thinks you're doing fabulous becomes more important. your the impressions that you're giving to the people around you, holding, making sure their picture of you is what it is more important, that they're perceiving you, their perception of you is more important than your perception of you, right? um, I see women all the time telling me that healing is their number one priority, but when it comes down to it, when it comes down, rubber hits the road, it's not. And I'm going to tell you that I know what that's like. And I know that, let me tell you, when I was healing, I was homeless. Homeless. And my mom scooped us up and let us stay in her place. I had 3 small babies. I could have gotten my whole life back together, right? I could have just but I realized I'm not well. Homegirl is not well. And I chose to stay in a homeless, poor, and powerless place to heal. I stayed there because I knew, I was like, I got to fix this piece. If I fix this one piece, everything comes together. Homegirl was right. I bet on the emotional wellness. I said I had lots of options, and I had to watch my friends buy houses. I wasn't in a place to buy houses. I got to watch my friends drive fancy cars. I wasn't in that place. I had to choose, and I made a choice every single time, and it looked different every single way. But I was like, I would rather be poor than be emotionally unwell. No. And thank goodness I fandangled my situation to hold space for my healing, but it wasn't fun. I mean, I was like 36 living with mama. That's not cute. And but when it came down to it, I had to choose, and my priority every time was my emotional wellness. I did not get here by accident. As a matter of fact, I should not be here. I should not be in this place. But when life asked me, hey, where is your priority? Would you like this or would you like that? I chose this. I chose emotional wellness every single time, and it paid off big. Emotional wellness is the number one indicator of how successful you will be in your life. Number one. What else are we doing? I have nothing else to do, right? And so I, you know, and then the other piece to this low self-worth piece is that women feel like you feel like you're not worth the investment, the time. Oh, I can't take up all that time, you know. You don't even know what the time is, but you can't take it up, right? You can't take the time. You can't take the effort, right? You got to put your effort into these other things because Billy Bob is more important and Shelly's more important, and oh gosh, I got to make sure that they're getting the bulk of my time. And you wonder why your health is slipping out, because guess what? At the end of all your commitments and all your real priorities, there's nothing left for you, and you're stuck. You could have eliminated your symptoms already. Are you going to let another 5 years go by? Because this is one of those things, you blink and 5 years have gone by, and you have been in your inner world spinning the whole time. And so this is something you're going to have to plan around. And then, and then not worth investing financially in. Before we move off, let's do that. Oh my gosh, you want to hit a woman like right in the wherever, is to ask her to put her money in herself. This is, and life asks us to do this all the time. And this is where you'll see where self-worth comes into and comes out of. Are you worth an investment? Now, I'm gonna tell you, yes, absolutely you are. There's no nothing. I had a woman from a very wealthy family on the call with me. And we were just resonating. And I just was like, oh my gosh, I can totally help you solve this problem and get your life back. And, the money was not an issue. But what was the self-worth, and that blocked her. And hopefully she's kept going and we'll find a route for her because she needs it. Her world is too small because of the anxiety. It doesn't fit her. She's in prison, in an anxiety prison, right? But she's going to come up against, life's going to ask her, are you worth it? Are you worth putting the time in? Yes, her spot is the money, and life is going to ask her. And really, when we're talking there, we're talking, you're doing this because you won't buy yourself the clothes. You won't buy yourself the food that you need to thrive. You won't buy yourself the mentor, right? You won't buy yourself the program. You won't spend the money on you. Watch yourself. You'll see this. And the thing is, because this is an anxiety thing, this might not be something you can resolve before you get the help. Don't let it stop you. Don't let it stop you. Plan for it. Now I know I'm going to have this conversation with somebody and I'm not going to spend the money on myself, or I'm not going to spend the time. I'm not going to make that time in the morning or whatever. What am I going to do about this? I need this to heal. I need to be able to do these things to heal, to overcome, to end the suffering for myself. And if you're suffering, your babies are suffering, period. Please don't talk to me about they're not. I'm not trying to hear that. I do this all day, every day, and I'm not new to this circus. Okay. So if you're in the delusion that your babies are not suffering because they're watching you and suffering, please do us both a favor and let's just face that and not live in denial. Okay. Because that's not going to help you, because that's going to be a problem you need to solve too. Right? And I know we shut that down because it hurts too much to function. But you know what? You can use that same truth to solve the problem, to get motivated. Because I don't know where your motivation will come from, but I'm telling you what, mine, those babies, period. And so if mama needs to fix mama, mama does. So, so deal with that. Plan for the fact that your brain will help you by saying, hey, I don't think you're worth that, right? What are you going to do to overcome that? You got to. You have to. If you're going to heal, right? And really, one of the things I would tell you to do, also keep your eye on the goal as long as possible. Anxiety will take you off and make you think of all the things and whatever. Bring your eyes back to the goal. Bring your eyes back to the dream. And really, the faster you get into action, the better. Studies show that the point of decision, like the anxiety before the decision is made, is the biggest. Once that decision made, boom, done and going, and all the things fall into place. Now, if that anxiety is too big for you, you're not going to get to decision point. And so I'm telling you, figure out how to get to decision point as fast as possible. Make that decision and go. Okay. The third thing that stops people from healing to finally eliminating the symptoms is their identity. And let me tell you, this one's a jumbled up thing, because inside every one of us is a victim and a victor. One that overcomes anything and everything, any challenge, rock and roll, right? And there's a victim that can take any opportunity and find all the excuses. There's a part of us that can, the victim that can find a way to take it personally and take it off into the left field where the world is all against us. Every one of us has that, and it's just going to be about which one we step into, right? And sometimes this has to be just a decision. I decide to be a victor, and this might be where you have to go remind your brain and go and you look at all those times you have been victorious, and you make a list and you keep that in front of you. That's the person that can solve this problem, and that's the person who's going to have to show up for you to solve this problem. So if I were you, I would figure out how to get that part of you to pop up, and then reinforce it for as long as you need to be able to make the right decision for you that's going to get you out of this. Okay. And if you're like, I have an intake for an hour and a half, okay, you're going to need an hour and a half of your victor showing up. An hour and a half. How can you get that part of you, that strong part, that one that knows how to win? How do you get that one to show up for you? You got to figure that out. And now if you're working with the right person, they're going to help you find that part. They're going to help you bring that part out. And let me tell you, you hang enough with your pain long enough, and that victor will be like, this is ridiculous. Let's go. And, but you have to understand these two parts. And if you understand these two parts of you, you can start seeing them. You'll be like, oh, there's my victim. You can even give them names, Victoria victim and I don't know, I need another V word. Or Victoria Victor, whatever. But you can name them. If you can name them, you can access them more intentionally because you say, hey, where is Valerie Victory? And then your brain is like, oh, because brains don't know. If you ask a question, it has to go answer it, right? So you say, where is Valerie Victory? What would she do in this situation? And your brain's like, oh, we're looking for Valerie Victory. Yeah, okay. Let me go find her. And so it's going to go look there and it'll bring her up. And then you can have conversations with this person. You can really do this. It's called resourcing. And it feels a little silly, but on your subconscious level, this is how your subconscious works. It loves these stories. So rock this, okay? So now you can say, Victory, Valerie Victory, how do we get out of this? And Vanessa, what do we call him? Vanessa victim might come up and say, I need to have a conversation about this too, because I don't like how this is happening over here because this is how they always do it. And it's just not good for me because then I can't, and excuses count, right? And then you can say, okay, wonderful. Thank you, victim Valerie, appreciate you. You're not invited to this conversation. Right now we're talking about internal boundary work right here. Okay, so you're getting some freebie stuff. Grab it up, try it out, see how it works for you, and come back to Victory. You might want to lean a little bit in front of Valerie over there, or Vanessa, whoever we're dealing with there, so that she's blocked a little bit. But so you can have a conversation with Valerie Victory and say, what are we gonna do? She's got great ideas. But actually, you're just shifting your brain into different perspectives. Brains love that. But the fact of the matter is this identity will keep you stopped in your tracks if you go with the wrong identity. And inside of every one of us, even you, is a victor. Even if they're just this big, doesn't matter. Like that Native American story of the two dogs fighting. Which one's going to win? The one you feed. Come on, just a little bit, right? Just a little bit makes a big difference. But ultimately, you know, don't let yourself be stuck. Okay. And, what I find is, ultimately, what you want is really to eliminate your symptoms, right? So if you could eliminate your symptoms in the next 2 to 6 months, would you give it everything you've got? Would you do all of the exercise exactly like they were written? Would you keep at it until you get your win? If your answer to that is yes, okay, that is your inner victor. That's her or him. That's the one. That's the one. Talk to this one. Feel what that feels like. Does she sit a little taller? You know, what's going on with that one? Plug in, grab her, and let's go. I find, in my world that the solution to this is a step-by-step process that's systematic, that can take any and every symptom and eliminate them based on how the brain naturally heals itself. So let me ask you, if you had a step-by-step process, if you had a systematic program that you could just do like a recipe, following one step after the other, that would totally eliminate symptoms in the next 2 months, would you do it? Ask yourself. There is a solution here. There's lots of solutions. If this is something, if you want to see if I can help you with this, I am happy to take a look at this with you. I really don't know if it will, my system will help you, but I can tell you after talking with you and understanding what you're struggling with, what's working for you now, what's not working, and just how you're going to show up. I can tell you if it will rock your world and solve your problem, you know? And so if you want to have that conversation with me, I will have that with you. And please show up as somebody who is serious about solving this problem. And I actually, um, I get the best, absolute, most phenomenal people on my calls. They are, you don't book a call. You don't book a call with me and not, I mean, I don't, there's some energetic, awesome going on that people are like, what are we going to do? And really come to this like that. So but if this is you, go ahead and grab a spot on my calendar by going to rachelmcleod.com/call. That will take you to my calendar. You can grab a spot. I'm kind of booked out right now, but that's okay. Do it. And I'll open more spots if I need to. We'll make this happen. The sooner you heal, the better. The faster you come out of suffering, the faster those babies get to come out of suffering, the faster your business gets to come out of suffering, your relationship gets to come out of suffering, your life, your potential gets to come out of suffering. Take whatever actions you need to take. Listen to your heart. Go. It's that can be a tricky one, but right, get the support you need. Get the support you need. So that's really what I want to share. And I'm gonna bop around over here because I can see that there are posts. But if you have any questions, go ahead and put that. Go ahead and put those there. I will answer those. I'm gonna jump off in the next minute if I don't see any. So, and we're a little bit behind, so do that now. If something is on your heart that's coming up from what we're talking about, if you can relate to these things stopping you, and I see Aisha is absolutely saying exactly, and I love this. I'm so glad. Um, yeah, yes. This is definitely something to end, something to really like. How's it gonna feel, right? Let's do this as you're putting your. Go ahead and put your questions down. But how's it gonna feel like when you're on the other side of this? How's it going to feel when you're not, when you go through your world without racing thoughts, without fear blocking you and terrorizing you? What the brain does with fear, it's so phenomenal. When fear comes through the healing pathways, your brain's job is to digest it, right, and then to convert it, like just like food. It digests it and converts it into usable form and eliminates the rest. So when you bring fear through the healing pathways, and your brain is converting it, what it converts it into is courage. If you got a lot of fear going on, great, you have a lot of fuel for courage. But if it doesn't come through the healing pathways, it stays in its form of fear, and it will ride you, and it will press all your fear buttons, and it will not get converted. And that's why we've got to get it through. We've got to move it. And you can become an expert at moving this so that you can do this for the rest of your life, because fear is a thing, right? You can't eliminate your emotions. And not only can you be good at moving fear, you can really help your kiddos remove the fear. And you can help them have a new relationship with fear, an empowering relationship with the fear. Shame, right? Shame. I love finding shame. Oh my gosh. You know, I think that when shame gets converted through the body, through the brain, it also makes courage. It also makes hope. But it also makes lightness. It makes ease. It's like what once was making you hide and pull back and play small is now used to help you play big. I mean, it's fuel, right? And what happens if you never learn how to use this stuff? You just sit here and dance to its tune, and that's not what it's even there for. It's there to empower every one of your dreams, every one. And you got to use these emotions to get it through. That's why emotional wellness is the number one indicator of how successful you will be, because it's actually how you convert emotions into fuel and power. And if you cannot get that conversion process going on in your brain, you're stuck. You're stuck with all this power that's actually empowering your brain to torture you. So don't do that. That sounds bad. Become an expert in how you move emotion, how you convert all this emotion into your power and into your empowerment, because that's the fun stuff. That's where it's at. And that can absolutely happen for you. And you can just be so impressed with yourself and your brain. And guess what? That's the process. That's like how self-love happens. I was in my coaching group today that we just one of my clients was working with one of her parts that was showing up, and we all have these, and um, it was beautiful. It was big and like warrior tribal princess, like, and it was like, she's guard this it's activated because it's guarding vulnerability, right? It's guarding fear. It's guarding some emotional wounds, right? But like, who does that for you, right? It's like at first, if we don't know what's happening, it just feels like we're just in a mode where we just want to take on the world and like we're irrational and but when we slow down and we really see what's going on inside, you can see how your parts are trying to be helpful to you and how they're so dedicated to you and how they're and then when you help them solve your problem, it's just like they'll use that same dedication in the right way. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I have a fabulous teammate. I love this. Go. The same thing that was wrecking your life persistently and consistently is now in a healed place where it can flow in a way that supports you and increases function anywhere. I love this. Anyway, um, but that's what could be happening in your inner world. As scattered as you are, that means you have the potential to be not scattered, to be really aligned and flowing to your dreams, in your love, in your peace, in your joy. There's nothing the brain cannot create for you. Okay. So kind of got in preach mode there. Might need to pass the plate. No, I'm joking. uh, so fun. I was pulling in a memory of one of the fellow coaches in one of my groups, and he made some comment like that. It was just awesome. Anyway, so he was playing a role here in that. But think about this. Watch this video again. Do not let these things stop you. Do not. And just fastest way to eliminate these symptoms, do it. It will be the best investment of your time, energy, money, life, decisions you have ever made. I'd almost guarantee that, except I'm not allowed to do that. So take care. Bye.